Okay, this is the first time I've done this. This is something that I had somebody actually ask me about in regards to coaching and investments and lessons learned. And, this is an area that I have put a lot of time and energy into seeking out mentorship, seeking out coaching. I hope this is helpful, but I think the hardest part is trying to figure out what it is that you don't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And that is the hardest part when it comes to investing in coaching, courses, masterminds, mentorship. It's hard to know where you should invest because oftentimes it's hard to know what you actually need to improve, especially as you're newer into a business journey. So anyway, let me do a real quick intro. So I'm Danny Matta. I'm the founder of PT Biz, and it's a company that helps cash and hybrid practices start, grow, and really scale to create true businesses that they can, they can grow past themselves, that they can autopilot, that they can sell, any number of things. And what I'm going to talk to you about is not the money that I've invested over the last, probably 9 years in business education in relation to my cash practice. But in the last year, we've put the biggest investment we've ever put into coaching and consulting and masterminds for PT Biz. And I'm going to take a lot of the lessons that we learned from that, which is a multi-seven-figure company. We grew by 58% from last year to this year. We made the Inc. 5000 as the 447th fastest growing company that's private in the U.S. And we've put a lot of time and energy and money and resources into trying to grow this company so we can help as many cash and hybrid clinicians be able to not have to really deal with insurance and be able to grow the type of practice that they want. So all the investments that we've made were specifically for that business, but it's the same core skills that you can apply to your business. So I know you may not have $139,000 to drop into coaching and masterminds and consulting. It's an extreme amount of money when I say it out loud, but when I look at the return on investment for us, like it's there, and it's there in comparison to where we were at last year. And I don't know if I'll have another year where I go this hard into really trying to learn new skills and getting coaches, because we have a lot to implement now. Like, we've learned a lot, we have a lot to actually do and implement to be able to grow. But where we're at, we should be able to double the company before we really run into any bottlenecks in conjunction with this, just not knowing the right skill sets and also not maybe being around the right people, which is another big part of masterminds and in particular that type of investment. So total $139,000 in investments in courses, coaches, and masterminds in 2022. Like I said, we went 58% from. I'll just highlight this here because I'm obviously not very good with Word docs or Google Docs, but 58% growth from 2021 to compared to 2022. Our company size, we grew from 8 to 18 people. And these are the skills that we learned. These are the business skills that, that I in particular, the lessons that I took away for that extreme amount of money, which, to be honest with you, 139 grand is probably what a lot of you spent on your PT school degree, right, to get your DPT. So we dropped that on business education in the last year, and I'm going to share my lessons, my takeaways from it. So hopefully you find this valuable. It was a lot of investment, and it's something that I learned more this year probably than I have in the last 8-9 years combined, just because we had such a large amount of information that we were gathering and implementing, and just a lot of hard work, honestly. So I'm going to break this down into a few different categories. So sales, marketing, systems and product, and then people. So I'll end with that, and then I'll kind of walk through some of this in more detail. So first of all, sales. So sales is sales is my thing. Sales is the thing that I focus on the most in our business. Sales is the thing that I tend to help most of our clients work through the most. And, ironically, like, you don't go to PT school to learn how to sell. I went to PT school in the Army, So they didn't teach us anything about selling. But it's something that I've found interested in and I focus a lot on. So for you, the big lessons that I took away from growing a team, actual sales team, and in a cash practice, your sales team is frankly your clinicians in a lot of ways. Like they're the ones that are putting forward the prognosis and the plan of care that they need to follow. So sales, the first thing that I learned and reiterated more so this year than anything, as we have more and more salespeople, is stop highlighting your features. So I'm right here. Stop highlighting features and keep focusing on listening and solving problems. Okay. Stop highlighting features. Stop talking about, oh, we have blood flow restriction training and we do dry needling and I'm an active release technique ninja and I'm a Postural Restoration Institute certified, whatever. Like no one cares. No one knows what that even means, actually, unless they're specifically looking for it. And in that case, for sure, highlight it, right? If they're like, I was wanting to see a PRI practitioner. You're like, well, good news. I happen to be a PRI practitioner. Let's check this out, right? And in that case, cool, like dig into it. But in most cases, we are far too feature heavy and we're not listening to problems and solving problems enough. This, for me, comes to the second one, which is you must review your team's performance regularly. You can't just track close percentage. So what I mean by that is you need to sit in on initial evaluations with clinicians and see how they're communicating with people and what they're recommending. You can even like record parts of the visit that you're using internally for training where it's the sales portion of it. Like, here's what I recommend, here's why. And going over those things with your team is really, really, really important. It's something I didn't do for a long time. You're just tracking close percentage. But you could track that. You could say, okay, my provider's good. It's at like 60%. He's 60% of people at the first visit buy a package and commit to a plan of care. That's pretty good. But if that person says 60% with no focus whatsoever, no ongoing coaching, they probably could be at like 80%. And you're just leaving that on the table because you're not actually developing them. You're not working with them to help improve their own skill set. This is the same thing with our team. You know, constantly having to review, train, give feedback, and highlight things that they're doing well and things that need to improve. You have to do that. You have to give continual feedback to your sales team. For you, this is clinicians. Otherwise, they're going to settle whatever percentage that's going to be, but they could be quite a bit better, which ultimately means that you're leaving the ability to help people on the table. Like that's the challenge. Like they're not committing to a plan of care. We know if they don't do that, then they end up dropping off. Following up is huge. You hear like fortunes in the follow-up. That's so true. But it has to be multi-channel. So this is one thing that we learned this year is, in particular, we look at a lot of the practices that we work with, they would just follow up. They would send like one email to somebody and they're like, oh, they didn't respond. I'm bothering them. No, you're not. Like they literally asked you for help. And in order to help them, you need to follow up with them. You need to get them back in the office. So that includes following up on multiple channels. So that could be email, text, even social media, direct messaging people if you're trying to follow up with somebody. Like these multiple channels are going to increase your success rate dramatically. And the follow-up is really with these businesses, they're at least sort of like smaller new patient volume cash practices and hybrid practices. Like you don't need a lot of new patients. You need about 8 new patients per provider. Maybe 10 if you have like more discharge type patients that are going on, not as much continuity, but let's say 8 to 10. So, you following up effectively can get you there really fast, or you're gonna have to work really hard to get those people in if you're not following up at all. So follow up is key. Follow up is huge, and you can double the number of people that you bring in just by having effective follow up. Sales is hard. But it's much easier if you're selling to warm leads. I'll get to this in marketing more, but sales is not easy, especially what we're doing. We're essentially trying to work with people to help with their musculoskeletal problems. They're probably putting it off as long as they possibly can. We ask them to do really challenging, weird things. We do things that are uncomfortable. So, it's hard to sell that. But it's so much easier to sell when somebody comes in and they're a very, very warm lead. i.e. referral, and or they maybe know somebody that's worked with you, or they've really vetted you in some way by watching your content, and they've started to develop some rapport that way. So these are categories of marketing that are really important that will help your sales be much better. So when you can get more warm leads into the, your funnel, into your business, then you're going to convert a much higher percentage of those people, and those people are going to be the most bought in. So that's a really important key thing to focus on, is like, try to get people warmed up as best you can, either through referrals or content is a great way to do that. There's 6 primary ways to increase profit. This applies to every business that I can think of. So we'll apply this to a practice. So in a practice, you can do one of these 6 things, all of these 6 things. But the first one is charge more. So charge what you're worth. We constantly see this as a problem. People are still charging $120 to $150 for a visit when they should be $200 to $300, somewhere in that range. Reduce cost. So this usually isn't that big of a problem with practices. Sometimes we'll see that they have like redundant charges and things that are going on, or maybe they're trying to carry too much overhead with a space that they don't need. But usually this isn't the problem. So I'm not a huge fan of reducing costs. At scale, yes. So if you're, multiple 7 figures and you just got all these charges and stuff, and maybe you need to cut back on some things, but usually early on we're very lean. It's typically not the problem. Sell more often. So get people to come back more. This is continuity. This is ongoing recurring revenue. It is the most important dollar you can make. Aside from a new client coming in, a recurring dollar is so important because it takes the burden off of your marketing, and it helps increase the lifetime value of a client. So not just that first visit, maybe they buy a 10 visit pack with you of visits, but are they repurchasing that? Are they seeing you on an ongoing basis? Are they doing any other services, remote programming, in-person training, semi-private training? Are they doing anything else with you that increases the lifetime value, so you don't have to just keep going out and finding more business, and ultimately you're helping them achieve whatever their health and wellness goal is. Upsells, downsells, and cross sells. Upsell would be, let's say you have somebody that comes in, they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy 6 visit packages or whatever, and then you upsell them to a 10. That's an upsell. A downsell would be that, let's say you have somebody that can't come in for visits, but you say, hey, we have this remote programming option, we have this remote training option, and it costs this much per month versus this. That would be a downsell. It's less expensive per month for them versus coming in once a week. And then a cross sell would be actually like adding on other services, right? So it would be saying like, okay, well, we have this, we have in-person visits, but we also have a coach over here that can bolt on remote programming for you as well. Or, hey, you can come in for an in-person visit, but if you want to train with a small group over here, you can do that as well. That's cross-selling to other things at the same time. It would be like saying like, yeah, you have a burger. Do you want fries with that? That's a cross-sell. All right, so there's something complementary to it at the same time. So you can do all of these. Like I said, ultimately, this is the biggest one I think most people can focus on. Recurring revenue, and this one here, charge what you're worth, okay? Okay. Building a base of recurring revenue, going back to recurring revenue, this is how important it is. Building a base of recurring revenue is vital to your business. Selling recurring services in a cash practice starts at the very first conversation. So you have to build recurring revenue. Recurring revenue is the dollars that come in without you having to go out and find it. That's really important. You don't want to have to just go out and find money, find new people. You want those people to have a great working relationship with you, work with you as long as they can, and help solve problems with them over an extended period of time, and they pay you for it. That's recurring revenue. So money that comes in without having to go out and find new business. Selling recurring revenue is actually something that happens from the beginning, first conversation, how you bring that up with people. So if you're going to add recurring revenue, you have to bring it up from the very first visit, very first conversation. So talking about how you work with people and how it's different, how we work with people to solve, problems, lifelong health and wellness problems, to create generational family health, to talk about these concepts that we really do help people with, achieving things that they didn't think they were going to be able to do again. That takes time. It takes time, habitual changes, and it takes somebody like us that understands pain, understands performance, and can function in that gray area between it to help them achieve those goals. That starts from the beginning, and that's them committing to us and us committing to them. So continuity or recurring revenue is something that has to start from the initial conversation. Otherwise, here's what happens. People think that you're just like every other PT practice that they've ever been to, They're going to see you a couple times a week for 6 weeks, and you're going to discharge them. And it's because that's what insurance wants you to do. And that's also probably the scope of most people's skill sets. They don't understand how to talk to people about sleep, nutrition, movement, stress management, build programs out for them, train them ongoing. Like, that's something that we get a chance to do, and it's a great addition to the business. So recurring revenue, vital to the business, starts from the first conversation. Okay, effective sales is just like an effective initial evaluation. You should be doing more listening than talking. This is huge. So if you are getting better at communication, better at your initial evaluation, of course, obviously there's things that we have to do where we are asking questions or we're assessing things objectively. But the first step is to understand them, understand who they are, what drives them, why they're there. And I want to ask questions and listen for what they're telling me is important to them. Listen to what they're telling me is like what's going on, how long it's been going on, like solving a puzzle and piecing these things back together for them to then eventually be able to give them a prognosis of expectations of not just what's going on, but how long we expect for it to take for this to really, resolve and for us to make a lot of progress to get them back to the thing that they really like to do. One of the problems I see with sales in particular is people talk too much, and I'm guilty of this. People talk too much they get excited about stuff, and then they're spewing their opinion of whatever it might be on them versus asking them, if that is what they're trying to do and understanding what's going on as far as listening more. Listening, especially at the end of initial evaluation, over and over again. Same thing at the end of a conversation with somebody that might be interested in becoming a client. If we just spew our opinions of what's going on with them versus give them our prognosis and be quiet and then listen to what they have to say. Listen to what their objections are, what their fears are. You don't know what problem you're solving if you don't listen to them. So you have to be an effective listener. An effective sales is just like an effective initial evaluation, yet you should be doing more listening than you should be doing talking. Okay, marketing. Marketing is a huge one. This is an area that we probably spent more time on than anything this year, was just understanding these different variations of marketing and ways in which we can acquire clients, but also teach our clients how to acquire clients within the businesses that they work in. So there's no more effective marketing than clients getting results. Share these results as much as you can. Okay, so I get this a lot. People are like, well, how do I get more new clients? Well, get the clients that you do have the greatest result that they can imagine, and then use those clients in your marketing. That's it. Focus on your clients. Focus on the results. You can't share bad results, right? Like you can't market that very well. But you have somebody that hasn't been able to pick up anything off the ground without hurting their back for 10 years, and all of a sudden they're like back to playing a sport or something that they really like, and their symptoms are resolved or very manageable at this point, and they're just ecstatic about it. Like, that person sells what you do for you. But you got to get that person amazing results first. So focus on your clients. Focus on getting them results. Focus on what can I be doing better that's going to help my clients win. It's going to help my patients get back to what they want to do faster, with less complications. What is that? What are those things that you could be doing? What are those things that maybe you can't automate that you need to do more and more of to help with your actual outcomes, your customer experience? Like, that right there is going to help you with marketing more than anything else. So client focus first, outcomes first, and then leveraging those results within marketing. The most effective email campaign that we have, that I write this every single week. I write 2 emails, and then we have an email that goes out that has our content summary in there of all the content we put out. One is just a Friday email where I just write whatever I'm thinking. Wednesday is a client win Wednesday. And now we've had people in our mastermind tests as well with just Google reviews that they're getting, with people that are leaving those, or maybe it's a video they had done or something like that, and they're sharing these client win Wednesdays on Wednesdays, highlighting their people. It gives them a reason to email their list of folks that they've worked with, or people that have opted into something that they have, and it just shows highlights of what's going on. And it's one of the most effective ways of email marketing and effectively marketing the results you're getting for people, because it only works if you get results for people. That's it. And it may not be resonating with that person, but they might forward to somebody they know that has a knee problem, and you're highlighting somebody that just got over a knee issue and they're frustrated, and next thing you know, they're calling your office. So keep that in mind. Focus on results. Now, there are 6 channels. This is a big one. 6 channels for marketing, okay? You don't have to do all of them, for this to work. You really have to focus on 2, maybe 3, okay? 2, maybe 3. And the ones that I recommend most practices focus on are going to be referrals and organic content. I would lump email marketing in here as well. Referrals, organic content, and email marketing. And this is kind of the way that it works, right? So if you think of like organic content would be social media content. It would be blog posts. I actually even lump that into like teaching. So I look at teaching as a form of content, especially if you can video that and get clips of that. That's organic content. Organic content helps build your subject matter expertise in an area. You being like a thought leader in the area or an expert. You collect emails from people via content opportunities for opt-ins and or in person where people can exchange their contact information. You follow up with them with like exercises you went over, something like that. So you're building your email list. And those work really well together because you can follow up with those people over a long period of time and they become clients. Referrals are an area, people hate on this. I don't know why. They're like, oh, you're heavily, referral dominant in your marketing. What's wrong with that? It's like people say that as a bad thing. But it's because oftentimes businesses don't have predictability with referrals. So if you can, in a predictable way, understand, okay, well, if I have this many clients and I can expect to get this many referrals from it because I have these touch points and these lead to this percentage of those people sending me a friend or family member, then I know if I get 10 referrals, I'm going to close 80% of those. So 8 out of those 10 come in, and now you know your numbers in a much more granular way. So it's not people send us their friends and family occasionally. It's a predictable referral channel. That's a big difference. So I actually really like these 3: organic content, email marketing, and referrals for in-person businesses in particular. Now, we do a lot of paid ads, right? But you got to keep in mind, our company is a online company. We work with people all over North America at this point within our mastermind and all over the world within our Rainmaker program. So I don't have a localized area where I can say, hey, here's my footprint, come see me here. There's pros and cons to that. One of the negatives is I can't really do anything local. I have to do everything broad. And so paid ads is a big part of that. But paid ads, I think, should be sprinkled on top of these other things because a number of reasons, and I'll kind of get into that in a second. But paid ads is one you can scale up, you can scale it down. It can be really effective. Facebook, YouTube, Google, all kinds of stuff. You just got to make sure you're tracking it and effectively doing this, right? We see a lot of people do paid ads. They think they're doing it, but when they really look at how much business is coming from it, it's negligible. It's like nothing. They're basically wasting money. Cold outreach. This is one, if you want to get real scrappy, this is a good way of going about it. You can go cold outreach. You can find people that fit your avatar. Let's say you're into runners. You go on the Atlanta Track Club Instagram page, and then you can see every single person that follows that page. You can start to actually comment, interact with these people on social platforms or in Facebook groups or something like that, and be super helpful and put yourself in a place where they start to look at you like, oh, who is this? They're recommending this article that was really helpful or giving some great advice, and they look you up and they independently will start to realize what you do, and then you can start to have messages that occur within that context, within the platform, where you're basically reaching out about, hey, I saw you're asking a question about your knee. Mind if I ask you a little bit more? I'm a physical therapist. Here's what I do. I work with a lot of runners, but we see this a lot. Might be able to help you in the messages. So you can actually be helpful in the messages and be very helpful in groups or on social platforms and prospect. Cold outreach. This is called prospecting. It's where you go out and you find who you want to work with. You can be pretty scrappy with this, like I said, and you can use these social platforms to do that because you can see what people are into, and that's like one of the best parts as far as marketing is concerned with social platforms. Partnerships, this is a good one for local businesses too. You could be partnering with a local gym or a local nutritionist or functional medicine doctor or something like that, where you have this referral network. Somebody comes to see me, they need additional support here. This is who I recommend. You do the same. We create this little sort of collective, health collective, back and forth. This is our preferred gym. This is our preferred functional med doc, whatever. And then you guys all kind of refer back and forth to each other, and you all have complementary skills, right? It's a really good way of going about it. The hard part is finding those people and finding people that are collaborative in nature and not necessarily wanting to silo themselves completely, because that's what you're going to run into as well. So partnerships can be great locally as well. Again, I focus typically with most cash practices on organic content, which I also include kind of like local stuff that they're doing as far as content and teaching. It's still content. You're just doing it in front of people live. Email marketing, as you build your list of people that are, opting into your content or they're going to your content, and then referrals, and being very, very specific about how you're going to get referrals and ways in which you can do that. So, all right, if you think you're doing a good job tracking marketing effectiveness, you probably aren't. So if you think you're doing a good job tracking, you're probably not. This needs to be very granular. If you're doing it, otherwise you don't know if what you're doing is worth the effort. So this is what I brought up with referrals, right? So very simple. How many people are you seeing? How many of those people are you asking to send somebody your way? What's the take rate on that? What percent of those people are doing that? What percent of those people that connect you actually come in, the people that you get connected with? And then what percent of those people end up committing to a plan of care? So being very clear about what's going on. This is why with paid ads, one of the reasons why most people are bad at this is they don't effectively track this well enough. And then they just think, I'll just let it go. It seems to be working. It's how people used to do marketing back in the day. They would turn on a radio ad. They would just see what their sales were, and then they would turn it off. Or they put a TV ad on, and then they would turn it off. And they would see if their sales went up or down. And that's sort of how they had to gauge of the effectiveness of their marketing, which, in some ways, it kind of works, but it's also very inefficient, and there's many other things that could be leading to changes that are just coincidental. So, you got to track this. You have to track your marketing. Track. I'll get into this in systems and products here, but you got to know if you're making the right decision, because if you don't have the data to do so, you're just guessing, basically. All right, the more that I learn about marketing, the less I like paid ads. This has been a trend for me for years, but this year even more so, and mainly because of how quickly things change. So it's not like if I get really good at referral marketing, or if I get good at developing partnerships locally, those don't change overnight. Those don't they don't change the rules of that overnight. They don't change the structure and the setup, and those have been going on for a long time. They're very slow to change. But with paid ad platforms can change like that, so fast. And it's also something that is incredibly tedious to track and learn. And ultimately, I don't know if it's as effective as people that market that they do paid ads make it seem. So if the people that are the biggest proponents of paid ads are either the platforms that are running them, or the people that are teaching you how to run it, or the agencies that are running it for you. So it's complex enough where you probably need somebody else to do it. I've run my own ads for years. We've had 3 agencies that we've gone through in our own practice, another 3 agencies with PT Biz that we've used. We are using one now that we actually like quite a bit, but even still, it's a small portion of what we do, because I think it does help with reach, but I would not build a business purely off paid ads. I think it's a terrible strategy. I think that's a very sketchy way of growing, because it can change so fast. We've had ads that we were running years ago, just killing it. We were getting people in the door for $17, new patients for $17. On average, our lifetime value at the time was $2,500. Think about that. I would exchange that all day. There's a money printing machine. And it lasted like that probably for 6 to 7 months. And then all of a sudden, platform change. And then now you got to try to adjust and try to figure out what's going on. And then now you have multiple groups. So you have Facebook and YouTube, or Google, who owns them. And then you have Apple. And they're all getting massive. but they all don't really like each other. So they're kind of chipping away at each other. So Facebook is having Apple decrease the ability to see what people are doing on platforms because Apple's saying we want to protect your identity. Although in the background, Apple is actually working on their own paid ads on phones. So they basically want to make money off the same thing that Facebook is making most of their money off of, and Google and YouTube are doing the same thing. So they kind of all just bash each other, right? So they can change overnight what the other one is doing because they have such big market share. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're going to do it, I think what you have to focus on is leveraging your best content and getting people to opt in for things that are very specific to your niche, right? So like, let's say in our case, right, we have a 5-day challenge for people that are looking to start a practice. Like, I don't know who's going to opt into that besides somebody that has interest in starting a cash practice, because it doesn't really help anything else, right? So if I put that ad in front of somebody opts into it, then now all of a sudden I have a really good idea. This person's probably interested in that. And then that goes back to email marketing. So you can do the same thing. Hey, bulletproof runner program or something like that, or guide, whatever, something that's specific to your niche. And then when they opt into it, you know who you're talking to. And that's where email marketing comes into and follow up, right? But the more I learn about marketing, the more I dislike ads. So share your personality. This is a big one. Be yourself. Share your personality. Say dumb shit that you would say around your friends. Don't be an idiot. Like, don't be rude to people. But don't be afraid to just show some of your personality. Talk about the things you're interested in. Make that part of your marketing. Make that part of your email marketing. I've had multiple clients this year that we work with tell me, hey, you said something in an email that was just like, man, it sounded like something that really resonated with me, and it didn't sound that normal. It sounded like just like a friend talking to me, and I instantly decided to jump on a call with your team and see if it was a good fit. Like, that's what happens when you just be yourself. Be yourself. Put some of your personality into what you're doing, whether it's your content, whether it's your emails, whether it's how you teach in person, whatever. Just be yourself as best you can, and people will gravitate towards you to the right fit, and then it'll repel the wrong people. All right, the likelihood of a referral is strongly tied to the effectiveness of your service and experience that your clients have your company. So effectiveness of outcomes, experience. And I would say experience is actually number one, outcomes is number two. If people feel like that you were honest, you did the right thing for them, you treated them right, like your intentions were truly what was best for them, they will give you the benefit of the doubt. Not only that, they will still refer people your way, because it's rare. It's rare for people to actually be genuine and care about other people. You can't fake that. You can't automate that. You have to actually care. So your experience is huge. Experience results equals likelihood of referral. That is the two most important things. Even if you don't ask for a referral, but you do awesome on customer experience and you do awesome results, people are going to send other folks your way because they won't be able to shut up about you. But you got to engineer those two things systematically and on purpose. So, okay, systems and products. All right, this is actually where I'm probably the weakest. I do the least amount here, and I'll kind of talk about structure with this and why. But number one, and I'll go back to this again, track everything. All right, this is the biggest area of improvement I see in most businesses under $1 million in gross revenue. Most businesses under $1 million in gross revenue can get by without having to track much of anything. Once they get above that and their team is growing, now all of a sudden there's more people, so it's harder to keep track of things. So keeping track of your data, of the key performance indicators that really drive your business and understanding those, that's huge. So you've got to upgrade what you're doing with how you're tracking your business, number one. So number two, all right, better tracking and team functionality can be broken up into 3 areas. And this is how we break up our business, all right? So sales marketing primarily falls under me. I have 2 business partners. One, his name is Jared. He primarily does operations, so client success, the sort of back end of the business, systemizing things. And then service would be the third thing. That would be our partner, Eve, who's primarily in charge of delivering a great service and product. That's how we break these 3 things up. Now, you may not have partners like that. It might just be you, but you got to think about, okay, well, what are these other categories where they fall under? So sales and marketing is probably still going to be you. The founder is kind of that's usually the bread and butter of that person. Operations. This is client success and admin fulfillment. This is going to be like your front desk, your office manager, your admin. And this person is probably going to need quite a bit of training, unless you're getting just some badass ops person that could be a COO. That's probably not happening because they're going to be expensive. So you usually have like an admin person, a clerical position, but you're going to have to bolt on systems that they can follow to be able to deliver client success and administrative fulfillment. That's going to be really important. And the third thing is service. So this is where your providers come in. So your providers are the service element. They're delivering the service that people are paying for. And, the client results are a big part is them. So you have to have these touch points that you're engineering for them about what does it look like to have a good evaluation? How do you follow up with somebody? What happens if they don't follow up with you in a period of time? Like, these are all things that you need as far as service is concerned, but you're building all this stuff out and other people are running those plays. All right, so high level operations employees or partners are incredibly rare. You need someone like this on your team, and they most likely are not similar to you. So high-level operations, let's talk about this. I'm talking about here, ops. I'm talking about somebody that could be a COO and function in that role. These are people that think in systems. These are people that think of like, okay, in this scenario, this needs to happen. This is how we create consistency. This is how we need somebody to request time off. This is what we look at in our hiring process. This is how we do a review. This is like the organization, the structure of the actual business. Think of it like the founder usually is like the brain. It's like the nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, right? Like you need that. You need that for creativity and functionality and to drive like the mission of the business. But the ops side of it, that's like the structure. That's like the bones and the muscles. Like you need that in order to give structure to the founder, to whoever's starting the business, in order to like let that vision that they're working towards, move forward. So finding somebody that's high level ops is difficult. If you can find somebody like that, that's going to be your office manager, that's a home run because they're going to be day to day in your business. Sometimes you have to kind of be both for a while as a founder as well. But usually what's going to happen is your skill set is not going to really naturally be that of an ops person. Normally it's going to be more sales marketing, and it's going to be more ops is going to be somebody that you actually bring on. So that's important. You're probably going to have to hire that person, but they're probably not going to be like you. So you're somebody that's not going to be just like you, not into the same things as you, maybe not that, extroverted. They're probably going to be a little more introverted. These are big things that you need to focus on when you're looking for somebody on the ops side. All right, so track effectiveness with measures. We like the Net Promoter Score, NPS. It's a 0 to 10. One question, how likely would you be to refer a friend or family member to our business? 0, not at all. 10, like the highest score you can get. 9s and 10s, those are the ones you want to ask for referral. Anything 8 and below, you want to reach out to them directly. Hey, where did we mess up? What could we improve? And try to get in front of those people before it's too late, because that's actually a great way of improving their customer experience and bringing them up to a 9 or a 10, which increases the likelihood they're going to send somebody your way as well. Net Promoter Score, really, really easy. You should totally add that in. All right. Client success is the most important area to focus on if you're asking for referrals as one of your marketing channels, which probably is every one of you. Okay. So here are 4 things that you can do that will help with client success and ultimately referrals. Okay, simple things you can do. Number 1, consistent and prompt communication with the treating clinician. So make sure you are responsive to these people. They reach out to you with an email, a question, whatever. You get back to them as soon as you possibly can. You follow up with them right after their initial evaluation with a summary email of what's going on, so that they can show their spouse and tell them, what they're working on and why they just spent so much money with you. Drop-off tracking. Okay, this is looking at who has not come back in for their next visit. Let's say you have somebody that's in the middle of plan of care. They've done 5 visits with you. They have 5 left, and they just drop off. What the hell's going on? You might think, oh, great, never see them again, and I get 5 free visits I didn't have to fulfill. Wrong. That's a bad idea, because maybe in the short term, A, they might ask for a refund, but maybe in the short term, let's say that scenario, you would win financially. In the long term, you don't, because that person's not coming in. They're not repeating, with more service. They're not sending their friends and family. So you want to track that stuff, and you want to have a list of these people and coordinate between your clinician and your front desk about what's going on. Give away great t-shirts. CrossFit killed this. Give people t-shirts that are comfortable that they want to wear. Give people t-shirts that are so comfortable they want to ask for another one they can give their wife. Like that right there, there's a walking billboard. Handwritten cards. These never get old. People love getting cards. Handwritten card for your birthday. Thank you for coming in to see us. Initial visit. Thank you for sending your friend with a referral. Write these like they're 100% worth it. All right. Last one here. The bigger your business gets, the more you need to understand money and finance. Okay, this is huge. A, get a good bookkeeper and a CPA. If your CPA says, I'm conservative, you don't ever have to worry about an audit with me, that means they're lazy. You should find a different CPA. Get a bookkeeper that's going to stay on top of your books and have things cleaned up and books reconciled typically within a week into the following month, all right? It doesn't need to be the first day of the month. Like give them some leeway. It's not that big of a deal. I see this, people will fire their bookkeeper. They're like, they didn't have it done first of the month. If they get it done within a week of the following month, that's awesome. Like that's a good bookkeeper. And if you can find them together and your CPA firm and bookkeeping is all in the same place, that makes it so much easier come tax season. Okay, look at your P&L every single month. That's your profit and loss sheet. It tells you how much money came in, where money is going, and then how much net profit you have at the end of the month. This is going to help you clean up and understand where your percentages of allocation of finance is going in your business. Meaning, are you spending too much on marketing? Are you not spending enough on marketing? Are you spending too much on your overhead? Is your staff salary too high for where you should be at? Are you going through a growth cycle? There's a lot of things on the financial side you got to understand as far as P&Ls go. That's huge. So you got to understand finance. So increase cash reserves in preparation for hiring and expansion. So if you think you're going to hire, you think you're going to move into a new space, and there's only two ways really to grow these in-person businesses, and that's through space and people. Space and people. You can bolt on some things that are remote, and that's cool because those can be really helpful, but space and people are the biggest drivers as far as revenue is concerned. So if you're going to move into a new space, you're going to hire somebody, bolster those cash reserves a little bit in the process. Weekly, you should track your finances, but on a monthly basis, you should have a monthly financial meeting. That means at this monthly financial meeting, you are paying your credit card off. You are reviewing cash flow as far as like how the business is doing and cash reserves needed. You are tracking profit like a hawk. You want to know how much money you're keeping. There's no reason to start a business if you can't be profitable and make money. You are checking out for recurring duplicate charges in some cases and cutting recurring revenue charges. Let's say you have like 2 email service providers, something like that. Get rid of one of them. You don't need 2. And then distributions at this meeting. So if you're paying yourself a monthly distribution to go along with your salary, this is when you would do that to make sure that you're not cannibalizing the business in the process of paying yourself a distribution. So there's a lot there. We could go on for hours in the finance side, but these are the big ones to take away. So make sure you are looking at your P&L. You get a good bookkeeper or CPA. That will help your P&L look really clean. Make sure you're increasing your business cash reserves if you're looking to expand. And then on a weekly and monthly basis, look at your finances. On the monthly basis, you're doing these things right here. Paying your credit card, reviewing cash flow, you're tracking profit, you're checking for recurring duplicate charges, and then you're distributing to yourself at that meeting as well. All right, people. This is a big one for us because we actually grew a lot as far as number of people were concerned in the last year. So you and your actions set the tone for your company, always. You must hold yourself to an incredibly high standard. Listen, whether you like it or not, if you start a company and you're the leader of that company, you need to act like a damn leader. Act like a leader. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say to be on time, meeting starts at 10 and you're constantly showing up at 10:05 and people are waiting on you, you set the tone that showing up at 10:05 is okay. I'll tell you this much. If I show up to a meeting 1 minute late, I will apologize. No matter what happened. Doesn't matter. If I show up to a meeting 5 minutes late, people on my team start texting me to see if I'm okay, if I'm hurt, because it's just so rare that I'm not early or exactly on time. That's a tone that we set in our company, and I hold myself to that same standard. I hold everybody else to that standard. Like, yo, meeting starts at 10. What's up? Why are you 5 minutes late? This is the first time it happens. Don't let it happen again. We start meetings on time, and we're not waiting. You got to set that tone. That may not be the tone that you want, but that's the tone that we have. That's the tone that we have within our company. So the way in which we hold ourselves accountable and our own standards, like you have to hold yourself to a high standard, whether that be physically, you have expectations of being healthy and people around you being healthy, being punctual, being professional about how you're engaging with people. Maybe it's more of a fun environment that you want to create. It's up to you. But that tone that you set for your company is based on your actions. So make sure that you're very aware of how you're interacting with people. Hire what you need, not just people that you like. This used to be something that I used to tell people, like, only hire people you'd want to grab a beer with. I think with a really small company, if you have like sub 8 people, then that's probably pretty accurate. The problem is you need people with diverse personalities. You need people with diverse ways of looking at problems. People that are more cautious, people that are more cavalier, people that are kind of in the middle, people with backgrounds in different areas that come from different parts of the country. Like, you need collaborative people in order to see progress. So hire what you need, not necessarily just who you like. Like, you got to hire for the position. The personality, obviously, you need to be around these people. Don't hire somebody you absolutely don't want to be around. But too often, I see people hire people that are just like them. They're like, oh yeah, I love this guy. Of course you love this guy. He's literally just like you. It's the same skill set. He says the same stuff. It's the same background. How do you think that's going to go when you need somebody that's going to be helping on the ops side? Like, that's not an ops person. This is somebody that is like you. And you don't even like ops. What do you expect them to do, right? You got to hire people that you need, not necessarily just that you like. Be a dream manager, not just a boss. All right, I'm going to put this in here. Dream Manager is a book that I read years ago. I got this recommended from a friend of mine that was an interesting guy. He started a music genre cruise company. Basically, he was a band manager for a fairly big, like, 90s band. And he started hosting concerts for them, like destination concerts. And they started doing them on cruises. And then other bands started reaching out to him about setting these up. And eventually he ended up selling this company to Norwegian Cruise Lines, and then came on for a year as the dream manager at Spanx. So Spanx is based here in Atlanta. It's Sarah Blakely owns the company. She's a billionaire at this point. And it's a very interesting company culture they have there. And they brought this guy in, and he was their dream manager. And what that meant was his job was to work with their C-suite and talk to them about how he could help them improve their lives. Had nothing to do with work. And I thought it was a really cool concept. And a lot of it was just like better understanding people. Like, what are your goals? What do you want to get out of being here? Like, what do you want to get out of life? Like, how can we help facilitate some of these things? What connections do we have where we can help you? And really help them win at life, not just in your company. So understand, if you can help your people win at what they're trying to accomplish in life, they're going to be great employees. Not only that, but some of them might move on and go do other things. And that's okay too, because that's what they want in life. And you have to help facilitate that. So be a dream manager. Don't just be a boss. All right. You are the chief reminder officer in your company. This is a big one. Chief reminder officer. That means you're reminding people of core values and the mission. Core values, mission. What are we here for? What are we trying to do? What do we stand for? Why is it important? Like, why is this meaningful work? You are constantly beating the drum of what your company exists for, who you help, and why. Like, that is a huge part of your job. Like, you got to understand that. You're motivating people around you, all right? People also, they want to work for the company in your vision, okay? So you might be here right now, and your company's over here. Like, it's an okay place to work. It's real small, not a lot of benefits, whatever. But like, hey, we're going over here. Like, this is going to be awesome. Like, they want to work at this vision, whatever that vision is. They want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of that journey. And that's a huge advantage for a small business, to be able to take people with them along that journey. That's what they want. So make sure you are constantly reminding them of the vision you have. All right. Talented people will work for less money if they love the work they get to do. We've seen this in the clinic. I've had numerous higher paid clinicians that have come to work with us because they have great population to work with. They have low volume. They have autonomy. They have a place where we expect excellence, and clinical excellence is something that we want to chase and improve. We want them to be the best people in their niche in the entire city. And that's appealing to a certain kind of person. They'll take less money with an opportunity to have all these other benefits, because I can't really compete with a home health company as a cash practice owner. I just can't, because they're making more money off those contracts. And I can't match that because we're not making the same amount of money. Think of the example of nonprofits. My wife used to work for a nonprofit called Operation Homefront. She started and she ran the Hawaii chapter. She worked at the Texas chapter. And this is an awesome organization. They help wounded soldiers. They help with morale events, with military kids, and events for them and things. And she loved it. She loved it, and she got paid like absolute shit. She had terrible benefits. When we had our first kid, when we had our son, she got 6 weeks of unpaid maternity leave, and she was right back working from home. Where like at the 6 week mark. That's the challenge of those environments. Like they don't have a lot of revenue, and if they do, they put it all into the mission. Well, but smart people like my wife would, work for these organizations, and probably would have kept working for these organizations if I hadn't drug her into our business, because she loved the work. She loved the meaning of what was going on with it. So keep in mind, people, they want to be able to have something that they really find meaning in, all right? And they will take less money in order to do that. Okay. So big takeaways for me this year. All right, so you need to know exactly what you want your life to look like and make decisions based on that. This is like the end. I'm going to finish with these. These are just big bullet points that I took away from all this coaching and all these masterminds that we were in this year. When I say we, I mean me and my two business partners, but a lot of it was me. A lot of it was me getting involved in these things personally, and I've had a chance to be in a lot of different mastermind groups and coach and have coaches. And I can independently learn things from pretty much anybody. There's a lot of smart people out there. But when I look at what I want my life to look like, I want to find and seek out people that have done and are doing things similar to what I'm trying to do. And that means be a successful entrepreneur. But that's actually on the quite on the towards the bottom of my list at this point. Because I think in a lot of ways, I've checked that box for what I felt like my own ego needed to accomplish. So it's way down there. But I want to be a successful entrepreneur, successful business owner with a healthy relationship with my spouse, with a great relationship with my kids, with my family. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to have some balance in my life that hasn't existed for almost a decade. And so the people that I seek out now are people, at least for me, visually on the surface before I get to know them, that is what they focus on, what they have achieved or are working to achieve. I am not interested in just learning from people that are worth a lot of money and they have none of these other things going on, because I don't want to chase what they have. I don't want their life. I want to work with people who are on the same path as me, and ideally further along. So make sure that you make decisions based on that. And this year, do not pick a mentor, a coach, or a mastermind that doesn't align with you and what you want your life to look like. I've done this. I've made mistakes with this too, where I've joined groups or I've had coaches, and then I'm like, dude, I don't want anything to do with any of this. Like this just isn't like where somebody might go out or how they might interact with people, and the integrity that people have let's see ways to put it. People can say one thing, but how they act when other people are not around or in closed doors, and the things they say and the things they do can not be aligned. So I don't want anything to do with people that are superficially telling you one thing and then deep down they're bad people. Like they're just not doing the right things. So for me, like I always try to pick a mentor, coach, or a mastermind that aligns with my core beliefs and the person that's running that. That's incredibly important. Probably the most important thing. So non-negotiables for me at this point, after this year, what I've learned, these are non-negotiables for me. I think you need to understand your own non-negotiables of what you're willing to say yes or no to as you go along your business journey. Number one, time flexibility to allow for tons of quality family time and a balanced life as much as possible for an entrepreneur. That's huge for me. I've worked all the hours, all the years. I've done a lot. And it wears you down physically, mentally, emotionally. It wears your family down. It wears your spouse down. And in some cases, I think it's necessary for a short period of time. But you also got to be able to understand how to pump the brakes and not necessarily just grind all the time, because there's no end in sight if you do that. So for me, like time flexibility and being able to have more balance, that's a non-negotiable. A sustainable work environment for our team. I do not want to run our team into the ground. I don't want to drive our team so hard that they can't have balance in their own life. So we will take a step back in terms of progress and growth in profitability, in the money we can make in a business for the exchange of longevity with our team, with work-life balance, with them being able to also have this great quality of life. That's so much more important to us than, however much more money that we could possibly make. We don't want to burn out great people. And I felt the exact same way with our cash practice. And I think that, most of us do as well. We want to be an employer we wish we had had. That's the way I look at it. Be the employer that you wish you would have had, because you probably never would have left to start your own thing. Sustainable work environment for our team is huge. All right. Truly helping people, not just making money. So the last non-negotiable is I will not say yes to a business opportunity, an investment opportunity, or something that I might have some involvement in, unless it truly helps people and not just makes money. I will not just go for a cash grab. I won't do it. I have invested in things that are not necessarily helping anybody. It's just an investment vehicle, and I don't feel so great about it. But when I get a chance to do that and it helps people, it's even better. And a lot of that is even invest in our own business. We truly get to help people. Cash practices get to help people. This is awesome. It's such a huge advantage in so many ways. Personally, it's personally gratifying. That's what I've just aligned a lot with, is money is money. You can make a lot of money. I've made a lot of money. And at a certain point, it doesn't change shit. It doesn't change anything. Nothing. And if you're sitting there and you're broke, I fucking get that too. I've been there. And that's one of the reasons why I work so hard, and I worked so hard for years, is because it sucks. It does. But I can tell you this much: having made money, without necessarily truly being able to see that I can help somebody and see that their life's changing, and then being able to make money and helping somebody truly change their life or truly get the outcome they want physically, dude, it's way better over here. It's way better over here. The money will come. You just got to focus on helping as many people as you can, and you're going to feel so much better. You're going to have so much more gratitude. You're going to have so much more positivity in your life, and the money will be there. The money will be there. It's not the only thing. It's not the main thing. So that's my last non-negotiable. So I'll leave you guys with this. These are my notes. You will have the PDF of this. You can watch this. This turned out to be longer than I thought. That's like an hour. But again, we dropped $139,000. Coaches, courses, and mastermind. These are the lessons that I learned. If you can't afford to go and do that on your own, or maybe some of these groups you just can't even get into because you don't have recommendations or a net worth that allows you to be able to do that, I hope this helps you. I hope it helps you. Look, if you have a cash or a hybrid practice and you're trying to figure out how to start and or grow your business, and what I say here resonates with you in some way, please check us out at physicaltherapybiz.com. It's really straightforward. You can learn more about our team and what we do there. And if you don't, no big deal. I hope this helps you. This is just something that I wish somebody would have done for me. And I could have access to some of this, which, would have been awesome. Hopefully you can implement it and you can learn some of these lessons. And if you take one little bullet point from here, you can apply it to your business and it's positive, man, that's a win. So as always, guys, thank you so much for, paying attention to anything that we do. I hope this really helps you. And I hope that 2023 is a great year for you and your business, both personally and professionally.